In the deep silence of space, a dark ship floated above Earth like a shadow no one could see. Inside that ship stood Zyra, a warrior from the planet Zilari. She was not like the others of her kind. She was stronger, smarter, and colder. For years she had trained to fight, conquer, and destroy. Her mission was simple: test the humans, see if they were strong enough to resist an invasion. Her leaders believed humans were weak, too emotional, too soft, too human. Zyra agreed. Conquering Earth would be easy, or so she thought. She landed silently in a desert, the ship disappearing behind her. Her armor shimmered like silver stone, and her eyes glowed blue in the night. A small human base stood nearby. Cameras, fences, guns, but nothing she hadn't seen before. Still, something felt different. Then she saw him. Standing at the edge of the base, staring into the stars, was a man. Tall, silent. A scar ran down one side of his face, like a memory that refused to fade. He wore simple military clothes. No helmet, no gun. Just calm. His name was Captain Ray Walker. Zyra watched from the shadows. She scanned him. No cybernetics, no alien tech, just a man. Too easy, she whispered. She moved like a shadow, fast and quiet. She raised her weapon, a silver blade that hummed with alien energy. But the moment she stepped closer, he turned, like he felt her. No fear in his eyes. Only a strange calm. His voice was soft, but it cut through the night like a knife. Are you going to stand there all night, or are we doing this now? Zyra blinked. That was not the response she expected. She stepped out of the darkness. You saw me? He smiled, just a little. You breathe like a soldier. I've heard that sound before. She didn't reply. Instead, she rushed forward. Her blade moved faster than a bullet. Any normal human would have been dead in seconds. But Ray moved. Not fast like her. Not wild. Just right. He dodged, slipped, stepped aside like he had seen the fight before it even started. She swung again, harder, this time with a pulse of energy. The ground cracked beneath her feet, but Ray rolled, stood, and threw sand in her eyes. Zyra growled. You fight dirty. I fight to win, he replied. Zyra jumped back, her weapon glowed brighter. You're not normal. Ray stepped forward. Neither are you. For a moment they stared at each other. The desert wind moved between them, carrying dust and silence. Zyra narrowed her eyes. You should be dead by now. Ray wiped his hands on his pants. You're not the first to try. That made her pause. Ray stepped closer, his voice low. They all thought I was just a man, just a human. They were wrong too. Zyra tilted her head. Something about him didn't make sense. No weapons, no armor, but he moved like he had survived 100 battles. His eyes weren't afraid. They were tired, like he had fought this fight before, many times. She suddenly felt unsure. Ray turned his back to her and started walking. Zyra raised her weapon again. Aren't you afraid I'll kill you? He didn't stop walking. If you could have, you would have already. Then he disappeared, into the darkness. Zyra stood still for a long time. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. She came to Earth thinking humans would be simple targets. Emotional, weak, foolish. But this man, he didn't run. He didn't beg. He didn't even try to kill her. He knew something. He had seen others like her. And he had survived. Zyra touched the scar on her cheek. A new one. She hadn't even noticed he hit her during the fight. She clenched her jaw. This mission was no longer about testing humans. Now it was about one man. Who was Ray Walker, and what was he hiding? The stars above her shimmered, silent and cold. But the war, she knew, had just begun. Zyra sat alone in her ship, eyes locked on the glowing screen in front of her. The system kept replaying the footage from her body cam. Her fight with the human called Ray Walker. Every time she watched it, something felt wrong. He had no armor, no weapons, no backup, and yet, she couldn't touch him. Her blade, sharp, enough to cut steel, missed him again and again. Not because she was slow, but because he was already gone before she even moved. It was like he knew her moves before she made them. This didn't make sense. Her mission file said humans were predictable. Their emotions made them weak. They panicked. They ran. They begged. Ray didn't. He didn't run. He didn't even flinch. He smiled. Zira's hand curled into a fist. The ship's control screen cracked under the pressure. From the other side of the room, her commander's voice echoed through a hologram. "Report, Zira. You made contact with a human subject. Why did you not eliminate him?" Zira didn't look up. "He's not normal. All humans are not normal. They are chaotic. Kill him and return." She stayed silent. The hologram flickered. Her commander leaned in. "Are you hesitating?" Zira's voice was cold now. "I've never hesitated, not once, but this one, he's hiding something." "Then find it. Quickly." The hologram disappeared. Zira stood. Her ship cloaked and lifted silently off the sand. In minutes, she was back above the base, scanning the surface again. But this time, Ray was gone. Only his footprints remained. She followed them. Meanwhile, deep underground far below the desert, beneath the ruins of an old military bunker no longer on any Earth map, Ray Walker moved through dark hallways lit only by old emergency lights. His fingers brushed against dusty walls filled with bullet holes and burn marks. Memories clung to every corner. This place had history. His history. He stepped into a locked room and placed his palm on an old scanner. "Welcome back, Captain Walker," the system said in a robotic voice. Inside, the room lit up. Walls filled with weapons, alien tech, old reports, and photos. Zira's species, the Zalari, had visited Earth before. Not many knew, not many survived. But Ray did. He sat at a metal table and stared at a blurry photo. Zira's face. He had scanned her during their fight without her noticing. The scan confirmed it. Elite Zalari warrior class, Tier 7, bio-enhanced, blade class specialist, he muttered. "So, why didn't she kill me?" He tapped on the screen. Because maybe she wasn't here to kill. Not yet. Maybe she was testing him, just like he was testing her. Ray leaned back and looked up at the ceiling. "Game on, alien lady. Let's see who blinks first." Back to Zira. The doubt. Zira followed the footprints to a hidden opening in the rocks. A false cliff wall. Human tech, but disguised well. Her scanner buzzed. Signal interference. Unknown source detected. That made her pause. Earth. Technology was primitive, yes, but this wasn't primitive. Someone had hidden this entrance well. She walked inside. The passage was dark, tight, and covered in dust. But it didn't feel abandoned. The air was too fresh. Too clean. Something was alive down here. And then, she saw it. A wall covered in Zalari writing, her people's language. On Earth, burned into the stone. Old, it stopped her cold. Her breath caught in her throat. This shouldn't be possible. Zalari hadn't come to Earth before, that's what they told her. But this writing was decades old. Someone was lying. Her heart began to beat faster. She scanned the room again. This time she noticed the shadows. And in those shadows, a trap. Sudden pulse. Energy surge. Zira jumped back just in time to dodge a net of blue energy crashing down from the ceiling. She hissed, "Clever human." A voice echoed through the hall. Calm. Familiar. "You're fast. Good reflexes. You're learning." Zira spun around. Ray stepped out from behind a wall, holding a cup of coffee like this was all a casual morning meeting. She stared at him. "How long have you been watching me?" He sipped. "Since you landed." Zira clenched her fists. "Why are you hiding alien tech? Why do you know our language?" Ray walked past her and tapped the wall. Because I've fought your kind before. Long ago, when the first Zalari scouts came to Earth in secret. Zira froze. He wasn't lying. His voice, his eyes, and they weren't making it up. She stepped back. But our leader said, Ray turned to her sharply. Your leaders lied to you. Silence. Zira suddenly felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Uncertainty. She wasn't just wrong about Ray. She might have been wrong about everything. Ray set down his cup. You think you're here to test humanity. But here's the truth, Zira. You're the one being tested, and you've already failed the first part. Zira's eyes narrowed. And what part is that? Ray gave a small smile. You underestimated us. The room felt colder now. Zira didn't move. Ray's words echoed in her mind like a virus crawling through code. You're the one being tested. She stared at him, studied him. Every twitch of his face, every breath, every subtle smirk, like he knew one more secret than she did. That was dangerous. She had faced monsters before, creatures that screamed in battle and bled acid. But this man was quiet, too quiet. Human hospitality or hidden game. Ray sat across from her in the old bunker's command center. Between them sat a steaming cup of coffee and a loaded plasma pistol. His. He didn't hide it. Zira didn't touch her weapon. Not yet. Her instinct said don't make the first move. Ray leaned back in his chair and took a sip. This bunker, he said casually, was built in the 80s. After the first alien incident, we lost a lot of people. Zira tilted her head. There are no records of that. He smiled without warmth. Exactly. For the next few minutes, he just talked. About the war that never made it to the news. About black sites, secret missions, and humans who gave up everything just to stop something nobody believed in. He never raised his voice, never bragged, but Zira could feel it. Every word was a test. How much does she know? What will she react to? So she stayed silent, watching him, letting him talk. Then her turn. The shift. You act like you know my kind, she said softly. I do, Ray replied. I know what Zalari think of us. You think we're emotional, fragile, easy to manipulate. Zira didn't deny it. But emotions, Ray continued, aren't weaknesses. Not always. They're what make us fight harder. Love deeper. Hate longer. Zira crossed her arms. Your kind is at war with itself. You pollute your world. You kill over money. Power. He nodded. We do. That's what makes us dangerous. She blinked. Because you're broken? Because we know what it's like to lose everything and still keep going. That shook her a little. She changed tactics. You knew I was coming. Ray didn't answer. Did you call me here? She pressed. Did you lure me into this? He leaned forward now. Zira, you're smart. Smarter than most I've seen. But if you still think you're the hunter in this story, you've already lost. Her fingers twitched near her weapon. Is that a threat? No, he said calmly. It's a truth. Mind games. Begin for days, Zira stayed in the desert bunker, watching Ray, studying him. They trained together, ate quietly, talked in half-truths. She asked about the alien war. He never gave full answers. He asked about Zalari invasion plans. She said she didn't know. Both were lying. But something began to shift. Zira noticed things. Ray never slept more than 3 hours. He had old scars and alien patterns. Not just her species, but 3 others. He was a human. But he wasn't normal. And Ray noticed things too. Zira hesitated when children passed by the bunker entrance. She watched Earth's birds with quiet fascination. She stared too long at the sky, not in boredom, but in longing. She was a warrior, but she wasn't heartless. They began to challenge each other in conversation. Words became weapons. Each question was a trap. Each answer, a clue. What do you fear, Ray? Waking up one day and realizing we've become like you. And you? What do you fear, Zira? Feeling. Discovery in doubt one night. While Ray was gone, Zira hacked into one of the old servers in the bunker. She found files, thousands of them, code names, missions, aliens, Zilari logs, photos of her. Long before she ever set foot on Earth, they knew she was coming. Her blood turned cold. She wasn't here by chance. She was part of something bigger. And Ray, he wasn't just a soldier. He was a gatekeeper, a test, a mirror. Maybe even, warning, confrontation without violence. When Ray returned, she didn't hide the fact she had snooped. She dropped a folder on the table. So you've been watching me? He looked at it. Then at her. What do you think the test was? Zira's voice was low, dangerous. You think I'll betray my people? I don't care if you betray them, he said. I care if you understand them. If you understand us. She narrowed her eyes. You want to change me? Ray walked to the window. The desert moonlight fell across his face. No. I want you to choose. Choose what? He turned slowly. Whether this war is something you want to fight, or stop. Zira stepped forward. You think you've cracked my mind? That I'm suddenly one of you? Ray shook his head. I think you're starting to ask the right questions. That's all it takes. Final twist. This episode. Zira left the bunker the next morning. She said nothing. Ray didn't follow, but once she was gone, he opened a drawer and pulled out a tiny alien transmitter. He pressed one button. Subject is questioning. Emotional seeds planted. Phase 2 begins. From the shadows behind him, a voice whispered, Do you think she'll turn? Ray didn't answer. He just stared at the place she'd been standing the night before. I hope she turns before it's too late. The desert wind howled as Zira stood on a cliff's edge watching the sun rise over Earth. The sky burned gold and blood orange, a human sunrise. She hated how beautiful it looked. She had been on this planet for only days, but everything she believed about it was already crumbling. Humans weren't weak. They weren't disorganized. And Ray Walker, he wasn't just some soldier. He was something else. Someone else. And now she had to know what. Return to the bunker, digging for the truth. That night Zira returned to the underground bunker. Not quietly this time. No stealth. No sneaking. Ray was in the command room staring at an old holographic projector, the screen flickering with static. Zira tossed a metal disc onto the table. I found this buried 6 miles west of your base, she said. Zilari tech. Decades old. Covered in dust. It was ours. From before I was even born. Ray didn't react. I was told we never came here before, she said. That this was the first contact. Still silence. I want the truth, Ray. All of it. No riddles. No metaphors, just the facts. Ray finally looked up. You sure? He asked, voice low. She nodded. Then sit down, he said, and try not to break anything. The ancient war that never happened. The lights dimmed. A massive 3D hologram lit up the room, Earth spinning slowly. Then came flashes of blue dots around the globe, strange symbols. Zilari writing. Ray began speaking like a man reciting a nightmare. In 1974, Earth made first contact, not through peace but through an ambush. The Zilari sent a probe, a scout-class drone. It scanned our world, assessed our weaknesses. We shot it down. Zira frowned. You knew what it was? We didn't at first. But when it started hacking our satellites and disabling nukes, we figured it out fast. He swiped his hand across the screen. More dots, more impact zones. Between 1974 and 1987, 7 more probes came. None returned. Zira stared at the screen, stunned. That's not possible. Those missions are classified, even to us. Exactly, Ray said. Your leaders buried the truth. Because those missions failed. Badly. He zoomed in on a grainy photo. A much younger Ray, barely in his 20s, standing in front of a burned-out Zalari ship with a team of black-suited agents behind him. Zira's eyes narrowed. That's you. Ray nodded. I was part of Earth's first interspecies defense unit, codename Project Black Echo. She didn't speak. Her mind was spinning. He continued. We didn't have advanced tech. We weren't ready. But we learned fast. Too fast, Zira whispered. You reverse-engineered Zalari tech, and then used it to send a message back. The forgotten battle ray tapped another file. This time, it was a video, blurry, grainy, terrifying, an alien, city on fire, Zalari warriors falling, giant machines ripping through their defenses. This wasn't Earth, Ray said. This was your moon outpost. We sent a team there in 91. You called it the eradication raid. Your people said it was an asteroid impact. Zira's hands clenched into fists. Her people lied. Ray looked at her now, eyes calm. We beat you once, not because we were stronger, but because we were more desperate. You came looking for weakness. You found a species with nothing left to lose. The real Ray Walker Zira stood in silence. Then she asked the question, burning in her brain. You're not just a soldier, are you? Ray exhaled slowly. No. He pressed a button. The lights brightened. A file opened on a side wall. Subject name, Captain Raymond Walker. Status, genetically modified enhancement class. Type 3, adaptive neural interface. Purpose, alien combat containment and counter-infiltration. Zira stepped back, her voice a whisper. You're not fully human. I was, he said. Until Black Echo needed more than just guns. Zira's heart thudded. They had built him. Not as a weapon, but as a shield. A soldier fused with alien tech, trained to think like the enemy, act like the enemy, and defeat the enemy. No wonder you move like a Zalari, she muttered. You are one. Half, Ray said. The half that fights back. Bigger twist. Zira's past unlocked. Suddenly, Zira's communicator beeped. A message from her mothership encrypted. High-level clearance. She opened it. One line of text appeared on her visor. Walker is not the threat. You are. Zira's blood ran cold. She opened the file deeper, bypassed multiple locks. It was a secret memo, time-stamped 10 years before her birth. Subject 017 designated for Earth mission, genetic sleeper hybrid, programmed with empathy inhibitors, monitored for potential crossover. Her knees almost gave out. She wasn't a normal Zalari. She was bred for this. Her whole life, her mission, her beliefs, her strength, had been scripted. She wasn't sent to test humans. She was sent to test herself, to see if a Zalari could evolve, could feel, could change. Ray looked at her, voice quieter now. You're not who you think you are, Zira. She stared at him, lost. No, she said, her voice shaking. I'm not even sure I'm what I am. Ending cliffhanger. The real threat, the alarms in the bunker suddenly screamed, red lights flashed, a message on Ray's screen. Unauthorized ship approaching Earth, code red. Ray stood up fast. That's not yours, is it? Zira shook her head slowly. No, she whispered. It's worse. Ray looked at the radar, then at Zira. Then it's begun. The sky cracked open like glass. Above Earth, a massive alien ship, not Zalari, not human, but something older, drifted into orbit, black as the void. Silent. Watching. In the bunker below, Ray stared at the screen, face tense. Even with decades of war behind him, this wasn't in the playbook. Next to him, Zira stood frozen, her chest tight with something she didn't recognize. Not fear exactly, not anger. Guilt. Because her blood felt familiar to that ship. A history written in Lee. Zira stepped back from the radar display. I've seen that design before, she muttered. In training simulations, always marked as fictional, a myth, something from the old war logs. Ray didn't take his eyes off the screen. Your people kept secrets from you. Again. No, she said bitterly. They didn't keep secrets. They built me from them. The truth from Part 4 still echoed in her head. She was a hybrid, engineered by the Zalari High Command to blend, to observe, to possibly switch sides if needed. A walking weapon, with a hidden heart. She looked at Ray. You knew about that ship? He nodded slowly. It's called the Null Reaper. It's not a ship. It's a trial. The Null Reaper, more than a ship. Ray pulled up ancient data files, encrypted black and red logs from the Cold War era. The Null Reaper doesn't come to destroy, he explained. It comes to judge. Zyra raised an eyebrow. Judge? Yes, it scans for hybrid anomalies, traitors, failed species, and when it judges a planet unworthy, it doesn't attack. He paused. It erases. Her voice dropped. Erases what? Ray's jaw tightened. Memory, culture, DNA, history, everything. The Null Reaper wipes a civilization like it never existed. Zira whispered. That's insane. That's Solari protocol, Ray said. Fail the purity code? Get deleted from the story. Zyra's choice. Break the programming. Zyra's fingers trembled. I was never supposed to make it back. If I turned, they'd send that thing. Ray turned to her now. Then we don't wait for it to decide. We make the first move. She looked at him, torn. I should be with them. But you're here. That doesn't mean I've chosen a side. Yes, he said softly. It does. Action break. The rebellion. Begins. Alarms blared. The Earth Defense Council sent a message. Panic, confusion, too many questions and not enough time. Ray turned off the monitor. They won't act fast enough. Earth isn't ready. Again. Zira's eyes hardened. Then we don't wait for Earth either. She stepped to the wall panel, opened a sealed case, and inside was a weapon only a Zalari hybrid could activate. The solar lance. You've been holding on to this? She asked. I was saving it, Ray said. For the day you turned? Zyra held it in her hand. The weapon lit up, not red, not blue, but a new light. Something in between. Then let's turn the tide, she said. Betrayal from within. But just as the two prepared to launch a strike, a harsh static buzz hit the room. A new signal, hidden inside Earth's own systems. Ray frowned. That's not the Reaper. Zyra's eyes widened. It's a ground signal. They traced it, and it led right into the heart of Earth's own orbit defense array. Ray punched. In override codes, on screen, a figure appeared. One Ray hadn't seen in 20 years. Commander Thorne. Ex-Black Echo, Ray's old mentor, presumed dead. You shouldn't have woken her, Thorne growled. You were supposed to terminate the hybrid before the Reaper arrived. Ray's voice cracked. You knew it would come? I called it, Thorne said. Zira froze. You summoned the Reaper? Thorne smiled. Earth needs a reset. We've gone soft, divided. This world needs fire to rebuild. Ray's fists tightened. You betrayed your species. No, Thorne said coldly. I'm saving it. The Reaper won't destroy Earth. Just cleanse it. Selective memory burn. Only the worthy will remain, the old files, the old blood, the old warriors. Zira took a step forward. You're not saving Earth. You're handing it over to monsters. You would know, Thorne replied. You are one. Ray shot the screen. The plan. A dangerous alliance. Ray turned to Zira, voice firm now. We need to reach the orbital tower. That's where Thorne is broadcasting from. He's locked Earth's weapons. We can't shoot down the Reaper unless we stop him first. Zyra was already suiting up. Then let's fly. He handed her a data chip. What's this? She asked. Key, Ray said. To override the Reaper. Her eyes snapped to his. You built a kill switch? No. But I borrowed one. A long time ago. Zyra blinked. That's suicide. Ray smiled grimly. Good thing I already died once. The flight toward war, ending cliffhanger. The scene cuts to a black stealth shuttle rising from the bunker. Inside, Zyra and Ray, both strapped, flying toward the orbital tower like two pieces of broken history, holding hands before a fall. As they approach Earth's upper atmosphere, the stars shine brighter. And so does the looming shadow of the Null Reaper. It doesn't move. It just waits. Judging, watching, Zyra grips the controls. I was built to destroy your kind, she says. Ray stares ahead. And I was rebuilt to destroy yours. She smirks faintly. Guess we'll both disappoint someone. The stars didn't twinkle anymore, not with the Null Reaper looming above Earth, its black curved silhouette blocking out constellations like a silent god with a gavel. In the cockpit of a stolen stealth shuttle, Zyra tightened her grip on the controls. Her hybrid veins pulsed with a new color, not cold Zalari blue, not hot human red. Something in between. She glanced at Ray, who was checking the data chip, the override protocol he'd stolen decades ago and never used. You, sure this key works? She asked. Ray didn't look up. Nope. She blinked. That's supposed to be a joke? No. That's me being honest for once. Now you pick now to get honest? She muttered, punching the engines. Approach to the orbital. Tower, the Earth orbital defense array rose from the planet like a steel spear, reaching toward the Reaper. At its top was the control station, where Commander Thorn, Ray's ex-mentor and current planetary traitor, was broadcasting the lockdown signal. Zyra maneuvered through the tower's outer defenses, dodging drones and decryption lasers. Ray opened a channel to Earth's military. Stand down your weapons. Your commander has gone rogue. The response? Negative. Standing orders. Protect Thorn and maintain communications with the Reaper. Zyra cursed under her breath. They're not just listening to him. They trust him. Ray loaded his weapon. Then we changed their minds. Boarding the tower, the fight begins. The shuttle crash landed through the tower's side panel. Metal screamed. Alarms blared. A dozen armed guards rushed in. Zyra was already moving. Her solar lance sliced through steel armor and false loyalty. Ray followed, moving with deadly precision. Not a soldier anymore, but a ghost from a war the world forgot. They fought upward, floor by floor, past soldiers, security droids, locked blast doors. But something felt off. This is too easy, Ray said, reloading. Zyra nodded. He's letting us come, letting us. The truth unmasked. Thorn's final gambit. At the top of the tower, they burst into the command room. Thorn stood at the center, calm, composed, smug. Behind him, the Reaper hovered, silent. I knew you'd come, Thorn said. You're insane, Ray snapped. You'd wipe half the planet just to test some theory? Thorn tilted his head. No. I'm evolving the species. Earth doesn't need memories of failure, of war. It needs fire to remake itself stronger. Zyra stepped forward, blade raised. And what about me? What happens when I survive your reset? I'm not pure. I'm not one of yours. Thorn's eyes flicked to her. You were never supposed to survive this long. Then he smiled. And activated something. Zyra screamed. Her body convulsed. A signal buried deep in her DNA suddenly triggered. The Reaper responded. Ray caught her as she fell. Zyra! Her skin glowed, not the usual hybrid shimmer, but full Zalari. Fail-safe, Thorn said. Your creators put it there, and I unlocked it. Memory versus identity. Inside her mind, Zyra was falling, drowning in a storm of memories she didn't own. Fake ones, implanted ones. She saw herself burning villages, killing humans, standing beside Zalari generals. Lies, programming, all to make her fear herself. But something broke through. One voice. Ray. You're not what they made. You're what you choose to be. Her eyes snapped open. The light faded. She stood, breathing hard, eyes locked on Thorn. "I'm not your weapon," she said, "and I'm not theirs either." Thorn actually looked surprised, then annoyed. "You both disappoint me," he said, reaching for the kill switch. Ray pulled the trigger. Twist. Not the real Thorn. The bullet passed through Thorn, and the image flickered. A hologram. "You didn't think I'd be here in person, did you?" Thorn's voice mocked over the intercom. "No, I'm already aboard the Reaper, watching. Waiting." Zyra turned to Ray. "Then this was a distraction. And we just failed the test," Ray whispered. Outside, the Reaper began to open. A quiet sound, like thunder with no echo, echoed through space. Then, the beams, thin lines of white light descended toward Earth, targeting memory clusters, schools, libraries, archives, brain mapping centers. "Ray," Zyra said quietly. "It started." The real plan, a suicide run. Ray uploaded the key into the tower's transmitter. "Won't stop the Reaper," he said. "But it'll reach it." Zyra looked at him. "You're going up there, aren't you?" He nodded. "Manual input required. It won't accept remote override. You'll die." Ray shrugged. "Haven't I already?" "No," she said, firmly. "Not yet." Then she pulled out a second override chip, one Ray hadn't seen. He frowned. "Where'd you get that?" Zyra smiled faintly. "I have secrets too." Ray shook his head. "You're not going alone. You're not the only one built to fight the impossible." Unexpected reunion. Ray's past returns. As they prepared for launch to the Reaper, a voice crackled through the towers. Comms out soft, familiar. "Ray, it's me." He froze. The voice. It couldn't be. Zyra looked at him. A woman's face appeared on the cracked monitor. A little older. Tired. But alive. Colonel Mara Langley. Ray's wife. Presumed dead in the last war. "I'm aboard the Reaper," she said. "Thorn kept me alive for leverage. I escaped containment. I've found the core." Ray's hands shook. "Mara, you want to shut this thing down?" she said. "You'll need me." Zyra said nothing, but she knew. This changed everything. The uprising begins. They launched a final shuttle, a needle of light piercing the sky toward the Reaper. Inside, Zyra, Ray, and one last hope. Below them, Earth braced for impact, and above them, Thorn waited. Arrival. Inside the Reaper. The shuttle sliced into the atmosphere of the Null Reaper like a scalpel breaching flesh. Ray, Zyra, and the Ghost. From Ray's past, Colonel Mara Langley stepped into the belly of the beast. The ship didn't have corridors. It had veins, pulsing walls, whispering ceilings. It was alive. Part machine, part bio-engineered god complex. Zyra looked around. "This isn't just tech. It's thinking." Ray nodded grimly. "It's not just here to wipe Earth's memory. It's here to rewrite it." Mara stepped beside him, her voice quieter. "Thorn has integrated with the Reaper's core. He is the system now." Zyra's brows furrowed. "You're saying he's the ship?" "Yes," Mara said. "And he knows you're here." The psychological trap begins. As they pushed forward, the ship began to speak, not with words, but with memories. Ray turned a corner and saw his old squad, all dead, smiling, repeating the words. "You left us behind, Ray. You survived. We didn't. You don't get to be the hero." Zyra heard the Zalari generals that trained her. "You failed the test. You're not one of them. You're a mistake." And Mara, she saw herself. In a mirror, gray, alone, forgotten. A mother to a child that never was. Because the war took everything. The Reaper wasn't attacking their bodies. It was breaking their souls. But they pushed forward, one memory at a time. Thorn's last move, the core room. The three reached the Reaper's control core, a massive sphere suspended over a glowing pit of impossible energy. And there he was, Commander Thorn. Only, he was no longer human. He was fused into the ship, wires in his spine, eyes black as space. He spoke with his own voice and 1,000 others. Welcome, heroes. You're just in time for extinction. Ray raised his weapon. We've heard your speeches, Thorn. Thorn smiled. Then hear your fate. The Reaper has scanned humanity. Verdict, unworthy. Zyra stepped forward. That's not your call. No, Thorn said. It's yours. He pointed at her. The ship is bound to hybrid judgment. Only one like you can override it. Zyra blinked. What? Mara's voice cracked. He's right. You're the key. Thorn grinned. If she chooses humanity, the Reaper dies. But if she chooses Zalari order, Earth gets erased. The final choice. Zyra turned to Ray. He looked at her, completely still. No pressure, no commands, just trust. And that was what broke her, because no one had ever trusted her with something so big. Her hands trembled as she reached toward the control panel. The interface wrapped around her wrist like liquid metal. Then, a voice whispered into her mind. You can save them all, but not without a price. One life must balance the scale. She gasped. The Reaper required a sacrifice. Ray's decision. Ray looked at her, and he knew. I'll do it, he said. Zyra shook her head instantly. No. Mara stepped forward. Ray. But he raised a hand. She's still evolving. Earth needs her. You. He turned to Mara. Softer now. You still have a future. I'm the past. A failed weapon built for a war that's already over. Zyra's eyes burned. You can't just... I can, he said. Because I choose to. He stepped into the override chamber. Zyra tried to pull him back, but he smiled. Hey, he whispered. You're not a mistake. He placed his palm on the node. The ship screamed, Thorn screamed, and everything exploded in light. 1 minute later, Earth all over the planet, the memory beams vanished. Data servers stopped glowing. Children remembered their parents again. Wars stayed in the history books. The Reaper shut down. In orbit, it cracked, and slowly began collapsing into itself. Zyra and Mara barely made it back to the escape pod. Ray didn't. Epilogue, months later, Earth began to rebuild, again. This time, with knowledge of what had happened, Zyra stood at the edge of the rebuilt Earth Defense Center. Human soldiers nodded at her like she belonged, because now she did. Mara was named head of the Unified Earth Council. Thorn's files were erased. His name, lost in irony, deleted forever. And Ray? He became a myth. There were whispers of a rogue signal still out there, a fragment of his mind, in the stars. Final scene, a signal somewhere, far beyond the solar system. A broken satellite picked up a ping. Captain Walker Protocol online. Awaiting orders. Zyra looked to the stars and smiled. You still don't listen, do you?